peace. What's good, everybody? How are y'all feeling? You know the drill, we're talking about synastry. We're still doing sun overlays. Today we're going to be talking about sun in the 10th house. In sun in the 10th, the house person sees the sun person as someone who can bring exposure to them, and or they see how the sun person is received in society, and 100% they want that for themselves. You know, they see the God in you and they desire to just be around that light, be around that aura, that energy. But I'm not gonna lie, when you look at a lot of sun in the 10th house relationships, when couples have that overlay, sometimes it's giving like pure clout chase. Same thing in friendships too, not just romantic couples. It's like the house person sees that being with you means being popular with a certain audience, and it's an audience they want to be a part of. And I say house person, but it could be from the sun person's end as well, where they see the attention that the house person is getting and they want that. At the same time, in more occasions, I've seen the sun person desire a relationship with the house person because they feel like, yeah, that person's able to gather a crowd. That's someone that's on my level. That's my equal. The sun person's interest is in gathering like-minded and people who are on the same frequency as them. From the house person's end, most times, it's trying to fill in an inadequacy from adding this person to your life. And sometimes the house person, they can feel intimidated by the sun person. They feel threatened. I feel like Mars in the 10th house, that's like more mentorship. Sun in the 10th house, there's just too much ego. You know, when the ego gets involved, it's bare competition vibes. Like there can only be one. Mars, I feel like, is more willing to accept, like Mars in the 10th house overlay, that relationship is more willing to accept that the student can surpass the teacher, and there's like a sense of pride there. The sun person, if they see, like if they peep that you're always trying to get one over them, at some point they're gonna check you. They're just trying to show you like there's enough for everybody, babes. Like, yeah, the sun person's just not here for the drama, but the house person's absolutely bringing the drama. But yeah, the house person, they can take the sun person's success really personally. The house person can feel like the sun person stole their spot, but it's like if it was yours, it'd be yours, you know? In this overlay, you know, you guys have similar interests or you're in similar career fields. A lot of times it's almost like you're up for the same job, you're trying to get into the same position. I feel like sun in the first, you know, I talked about competition being there, but the difference is with the sun in the first, there's a lot of admiration, sexual attraction. So it kind of does give more friendly vibes because you can squash things really easily and you can really understand where the other person's coming from. Like you could still be mortal enemies and be like, okay, well, you know, if I was in their situation, I would have done the same thing. But like either way, you're you and I'm me, so it has to be that way. With sun in the 10th, you're not really understanding, at least initially, where the other person is coming from. Professionally, you might be like, okay, like I see we have the same interests, but just like the styles in which you operate, how you think, it's different. It's a lot of like, why don't I have what they have? More comparison mode. In other situations with this overlay, sometimes a couple is formed because the house person sees that the sun person is more quiet and they keep to themselves. It could be like the house person is living more of a life that's extra and they desire peace and quiet, and so they find this home and solace with you. When it's this form of the sun in the 10th overlay, the connection is obviously just much more intimate right off the bat. The first dynamic is, it's very complicated. It is giving more surveillance, like keep your friends close, enemies closer type of deal. But in both dynamics, the house person eventually sees like what they're really envious of is the sun person's like surety of who they are. I think a lot of times when you come across someone that you have this overlay with, especially if you're the house person, you start to realize like you thought you knew who you were and what you wanted and what you strived for, and you really don't. The sooner you can realize that you're like not trying to flex on each other is the sooner the relationship can actually start. This is an overlay that definitely can be like that enemies to lovers trope. But say you meet each other and you're already very well established in your career and you know your own authority, you know your power, they know their power. When you come into the relationship like that, that's when we can start talking power couple. We're talking two moguls, two people who are gonna be changing the world. If they can just get over themselves a little bit, and if they can just understand there's room for everyone. When it's like that, it's such a supportive overlay. Very much always uplifting each other, always shamelessly advertising for the other. It's really like we understand that the energy and the effects that we're putting out there as a couple, that is greater than us. This is about changing the generations. Truly can be a powerful union, but not a lot of couples with this overlay get to that point. It takes a lot of self-work, but it gives you something to strive for. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. If you watch All American, you know whose relationship reminds me of Sun in the 10th? It's Coach Baker, Billy Baker, and his wife. I'm forgetting her name right now. But the way in which they can lead and operate their own communities and then still come together, still have room for the relationship, still have room to support each other's endeavors, even though they're both working at such a grand scale in their careers. That's the goal. That's the goal for Sun in the 10th. But yeah, that's all I got. And yeah, I'll see you the next one. It's Sun in the 5th house next.